Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Packernet Podcast. I am your host and resident fanalist, as always, Ryan Schlipp. Check us out online, packernet.com. Find me on Twitter, pack_data. We're going to do wide receivers. It's going to be a two-parter. I already know that, so I'm not even going to mess around and lie to you and say we're going to try to do it today. That's nonsense. We have currently 8. Let's see if anybody else snuck in here. Actually, IO Manor has fallen out, but we'll just keep him on. A lot of these guys continue to fall. So we got McMillan is still at 11. Matthew Golden is up to 20 from 21. We'll change that. Mecca Ibuka is up from 34 to 33. Luther Burden still at 35. Jayden Higgins up from 50 to 47. You better be careful, Packer fans. He's going to be gone. Packer fans are going to be pissed. He's going to go like 20. Or 22 or something to the Chargers? We're looking at a wide receiver maybe. Oh, that's going to make people cry. Trey Harris is still at 61. Jalen Noel is down to 63 from 64. And then IO Manor is from 65 now at 67. That's good news for me because I don't want anyone touching that guy until the Packers are ready to make their decision. He's actually up 2 spots, so he must have gone way down and then is coming back in the very short period of time that I made this list. Anyways, so we'll do 4 per day. That's going to also give me a little bit of time to talk about a couple things. First of all, I have been promising to announce this for some time. Very sorry about this, Hannah. Vice Sports has got a show out called The Grudge. The series, The Grudge, is about unpacking sports' most intense personal and team rivalries, and I believe it's started already. It was on the 9th. It said tonight at 10, so whatever. Vice does some cool stuff, by the way. I see like their shows on YouTube. It's super interesting stuff, but they're having an Aaron Rodgers versus Brett Favre episode. Features former NFL player Steve Smith, former NFL Network host Rachel Bonnetta, NFL journalist Rob Reichel, and Dylan Tomlinson. So if you're interested in checking that out, I would encourage you to go do that. They're not paying or anything. They offered to have someone come do an interview, but you guys know how I am about interviews. I'm just not interested. Appreciate the offer, though. And I figure, you know what? It's not some... I get people emailing me sometimes like, can you talk about our handbags? We'll pay you, or we'll give you free handbags. Like, that's all right, dog. Thank you, though. But a show about Rodgers versus Favre is definitely worthy of mentioning. Full disclosure, I have not watched it yet. I need to do that, but I haven't gotten around to it. I am interested, and I will do it. But go check it out if you're interested. What else we got here? Deion Sanders thing continues to be a circus, and I continue to feel bad for Shedeur. Maybe I shouldn't because he's a jerk. I don't know. But it's almost always his dad that just freaking irks me. He's got that comment about F this man, do your thing. Like, what a piece of garbage. Then he goes on to retire his son's jersey along with Travis Hunter. I'm sorry, they haven't done anything yet. I understand, like, they're very good in program history and all that kind of stuff, but I don't think you should be retiring jerseys until they go on to have success. Maybe I'm way off on this, but I'm pretty sure college programs, like, can you imagine if Ohio State, every time they like had a successful season, retired all their good players' jersey numbers? They would not have numbers ever. They'd be using like the Greek alphabet. So yeah, Shedeur Sanders is, I mean, maybe he's their best quarterback. I have no idea. I don't know much about their history. But I don't think you should be retiring jersey numbers until they go on to have success. And I think there's some pretty serious questions about whether Shedeur Sanders is going to go on to have some great success. But no, he wants to go on, and he's got one of the more talented guys to come out, absolute freak. If it was just about Travis Hunter, I don't think it would be as much of an uproar. He is one of the more uniquely talented and gifted players to enter the NFL in a while. Doesn't mean he's going to have success, but you could kind of understand it. He's a super freak and whatever. Shedeur Sanders, there's questions about whether he's going to be drafted in the first round as a freaking quarterback, a position that always is overdrafted. By the way, if he came out in last year's draft, he would not have been drafted in the first round because there were so many and they were way more talented than him. Not my evaluation. This is others' evaluations. So he goes on to say, if his last name wasn't Sanders, we wouldn't be having this discussion, which JJ laid out perfectly. He's right, but for the wrong reasons. We wouldn't be having this discussion because you wouldn't be retiring his jersey if his last name wasn't Sanders. So, I don't know. I mean, I just... Maybe we just have such low standards at Colorado that... by the way, I apologize if I've ever referred to this program as Buffalo. I see the frickin' Buffalo on the hat, and I always call it Buffalo. I don't know why. I just can't get that out of my head that this is not Buffalo, it's Colorado. But that frickin' logo, I look at it and I'm like, Buffalo, Buffalo, Buffalo. It's freaking Colorado. So if I keep saying that, just ignore me. But yeah, I mean, if we just have super low standards, and maybe this is more common than I realize, and it is being blown out of proportion. Maybe other programs are retiring all kinds of people's, jerseys and whatnot. I don't know. I mean, Alabama should probably retire Kendrick Blackshire's jersey, Kool-Aid McKinstry's jersey, Terrion Arnold's jersey, Caleb Downs' jersey, Sean Murphy's jersey, Miles Kitzelman's jersey, Jalen Milroe's jersey, Bray Hubbard's jersey, to name a few just over the last 2 years. Certainly Brian Branch should have his jersey number retired. I mean, that one's obvious, right? And Bryce Young, clearly, and, Jahmyr Gibbs, although I don't even know how great he was as far as Alabama goes, but I mean, he's certainly gone on to have some success and everything. So Jahmyr Gibbs, I mean, yeah, got to retire his number. Amari Knight, Brian Robinson, Evan Neal, Jamison Williams, John Mechie, J.C. Latham, Christopher Allen, Will Anderson, Jordan Battle. I think all of these numbers should be retired. And, I'm just getting started. I'm going to go back and I will go through every year and until every number is gone. And then I will stop my crusade. But that will be my goal. Not literally, but maybe. It depends how freaking annoyed I get over the next few minutes here. But yeah, again, no, it's different, right? It's different because apparently Mr. Sanders here, the coach of Colorado, not Buffalo, Colorado, sets very low standards for his program. And his whole thing is, if anybody here is good at football, we retire their number. Because that's just not the standard we set here. That's exceptional. Being good here is exceptional. It's not the standard. I don't expect greatness here at Colorado. That's not what we do here. We're a garbage program that sucks at everything. And boy, oh boy, if we start winning games because we have two good football players, whoo-wee, instant Hall of Fame. I mean, if they get drafted in the first round, it's automatic. Auto retire. Now, does David Bakhtiari get his number retired? We should probably consider some of these people that have been successful in the past and have gone on to have great success, not just in college, but one of the greatest frickin' left tackles to play the game of football, not college football, football. Some people don't need the caveat. Anyways, I'm taking too long. Saints 3-time All-Pro right tackle Ryan Ramczyk is retiring from the NFL. And then kind of the biggest, I guess I won't save it. I don't care. Biggest uproar of the day came via Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show, as is normally the case. It is funny because people take sides on this as though you need to take a side on like who's actually the bad guy here. So Aaron Rodgers, essentially, I'm not going to play it because I need to speed this up. He says that he got on a plane, flew across the entire country with the intention of, in good faith or whatever, sitting down, meeting, having a real long, in-depth conversation with the new GM and the new head coach. And he sits down, and so he's sitting down with the head coach. The head coach just walks out of the room. Just walks out. He's like, okay, that's freaking weird. Comes back in, GM walks in, whatever. And he and the GM begin the process of having a good, cordial conversation. He says it takes about 20 seconds before the new head coach, the former defensive coordinator of the Lions, leans forward and says, so do you want to play football? Just interrupting the conversation. Kind of rude, like walking out of the room. And he said, what was his... And Rodgers is not like playing it up like he's doing something super great. He says his answer was, yeah, I'm interested. He's not lying. Who's just like, oh, definitely, I definitely want to be here. He told us that his response was kind of wishy-washy. And on the spot, the head coach says, we're going in a different direction at quarterback. And then they get into a little bit of a verbal altercation, which, assuming he says it's verbatim and whatnot, I would not have handled it as well as Rodgers did. I would have been effing pissed. I would have been raising my voice a little bit and calling him a bunch of bad names, because that's extremely freaking rude and disrespectful. It's not even a whole, like, I'm Aaron Rodgers, how dare you. Any freaking human being, you're going to have me go through all of this. We'll leave the financial cost aside, because he's obviously very wealthy, so as a percentage of his income, despite the fact that still looking at the quantity of money he had to spend, which was high, but as a percentage of his income, it's low, so we'll leave that alone. The time. It's the other thing. If you're worth this much money, your time is shockingly expensive. The time he had to expend to do this in good faith, just to have somebody tell me something they could have told me over the phone, and in the most rude possible way that you can. Number one, to walk out. Number two, to interrupt my conversation. And then number three, to, after I say, yes, I'm interested, blurt out, we're not working with you. We're going in a different direction. So I don't know what's going to happen with the Jets. This is a first-time head coach. I will say, if this is an indication of how he runs things, it's definitely kind of an opposites thing from what we heard from Saleh, which is a little bit more wishy-washy, mealy-mouth, not super strong, heavy-fisted. They're going in a very different iron-fisted direction, but people still like being respected, especially in the NFL these days, where players are not willing to be talked down to or treated any kind of way that they feel to be disrespectful. If that's the way he's going to run things, he's going to lose an already broken locker room. So I don't think that was very wise. By the way, Rodgers still has friends in that locker room. Do you think players right now aren't hearing this, finding out about this, and already upset that this is their new coach before we even get started? You think you can treat him badly just because he's not on your team anymore? That's not how this works. These players are interconnected. They stick up for each other. A lot of these guys have sort of a players versus the administration kind of a stance on things. And if you come across as sort of a guy that treats players poorly, they're not going to like that very much. And before the season has even begun, before you've even had these guys in meeting rooms and all this stuff, you have now built a reputation as somebody that just spit in the face of these guys' quarterback last year. The guy that these guys fought and bled to protect and to catch his passes and to be led by. Some of them didn't like Rodgers, that's true. But they're not going to like this coach either, if this is how he treats people. And the coach goes on to say, yeah, we just want to know how it's released. So I don't even know why he asked, do you want to play football? Maybe he just didn't know exactly how to break the ice, which he started to break the ice by just interrupting a conversation. But he just very bluntly and rudely is like, yeah, we don't really care what you want to do. We're not working with you. We just want to know, like, how you plan on, or how you'd like us to release the news. And Rodgers essentially says, I don't, in more harsh language, I don't care about the messaging. And then he asked flat out why. Like, why are you doing this? Why is this your decision? And he said, I don't want to be at the front of the room with you in the back of the room undermining me. Now, this is where a lot of people have kind of got upset, because Rodgers' response is, you don't know me. And to be fair, I don't know, dog. I think we kind of do. I mean, maybe everybody's lying about you, but there's pretty well documented cases of you doing exactly this. Undermining Matt LaFleur at the back of the room while he's implementing plays or doing things, saying that you don't like that, you're not doing that, et cetera, et cetera. He also probably is getting this firsthand. That's why he brought it up, because you did that with the Jets too. I don't think he just pulled this out of thin air and got lucky. So I do think that's a fair critique, but overall, like, getting all huffy about, oh, Rodgers, you're such a freaking hypocrite, or you're a liar, like, we don't know that you do these. Fine, great. Like Rodgers said, the issue isn't that they moved on. Probably a wise decision. I don't want him in my locker room either at this point. That's not the issue at hand here. The issue at hand is what freaking douchebags are going to have somebody like Rodgers fly across the country under the false belief that they're going to have a discussion about whether he's going to play there, giving him the impression that maybe the Jets want him back, only to basically give him 20 seconds of your time and then just say, I just want to know how you want it released. I don't really give a damn what you want to do with your life. You're not playing here for us. That's kind of bullcrap a little bit. I mean, again, we get into these stupid things of like which team we're on. It's not about team. It's about right and wrong. We got to rush to blame Rodgers as the bad guy in the situation. Why? Why can we not just identify who the good guy and bad guy is in a specific situation? It's possible Rodgers is a good guy that made some bad decisions that I don't like, that maybe not a big fan of his. I mean, not currently, and don't want him on my team anymore. But also, that doesn't mean that in every situation he's always going to be wrong and he's always going to be the bad guy, and nobody can ever do anything wrong to him because he's evil. He's like Satan, so if you walk up and smash him with a baseball bat, he's still the bad guy in that. Like, can we knock it off? You know how freaking pathetic this is? Oh, poor baby Rodgers. Oh, go cry into your money. We know that you're a bad person, so... Okay, if you're not willing to actually just engage with the situation at hand, then just go away because you're being stupid. This was a completely inappropriate thing to do. This was a terrible decision by a head coach and a GM to make this decision. It will have very negative repercussions for the team. But if you'd like to pretend that none of that is real and that we should ignore it because Rodgers did bad stuff a while ago and has some bad tendencies, and so I'm going to pretend to just not hear what's actually happening around me. I didn't even hear the story about how they made him fly across the country. I didn't even hear that. Josina Anderson, as one example. With all due respect, Aaron Rodgers perhaps should check on how Joe Douglas feels after signing many of his friends, and Robert Saleh, who is subject to several hit pieces, both of whom lost their jobs before carrying on about this. Lost their jobs. Yes, for multiple reasons, true, but let's zoom out and have a macro and self-awareness in this too. The question of the day really pertains to leaks. A lot of y'all have been fooled thinking hate lingered where hate didn't. I'll leave it at that. The people who know what I'm talking about at FP know what I'm talking about, current and past. Okay, what is the point of bringing up something else? Final point. This would be like, let's say somebody stole something, right? They stole $1,000 worth of stuff. It's a felony. They have to go to jail. Okay? They do their time. It's a year. I don't know how long it is. They get out. A couple years later, or let's say the next year, somebody breaks into that person's house and burglarizes their house. He goes to the police arrest somebody, they go to court. The defense gets up and says, excuse me, that man over there who's claiming that someone broke into his house actually stole something from somebody else. What does that have anything to do with what we're here to talk about? That was a separate incident in which he has paid for, right? That's a different thing. Why are we litigating a different issue that's already been litigated? I've already commented on the situation with Aaron Rodgers and the mistakes he's made and the terrible things he did by getting people fired. That is a terrible thing. What the hell does that have to do with this current situation? Zero things. Again, unless your position is he's a terrible human being that should just be treated terribly. If that is your position, then fine. Then that's, I guess, your position. That it's a good thing that they did what they did to him and treated him how they treated him because he's a bad person. Otherwise, you're just kind of stupid. So Josina Anderson is right and wrong. Yeah, she's right about how Rodgers should maybe take some responsibility for those things. That has nothing to do with this current situation, you dum-dum. Finally, and I don't even know if this is true, and I don't care because it's posted by Dove Kleiman, Kadarius Toney went on IG Live and said he is retiring from the NFL and wants to be considered a rapper instead of a football player. Young Joka is now the name he prefers to be called. I don't know if you guys, some of the OGs that have been around, and I have some weird quirks where it comes to, like I want my pass rushers to have neck tattoos and whatnot. I'll tell you this. One of the things, as soon as I found out that he had a rap career and wanted to be a rapper, I said I'm out on Kadarius Toney. And he was a popular option for the Green Bay Packers. I was done. Nope, don't want him. It also didn't help that I went and listened to his one rap video. It was terrible. So immediately it's like, okay, this guy's freaking delusional. This is like season 1 of the old days of American Idol. Or not season 1, like the first few episodes where it's just garbage singers and they laugh at him and make fun of him. It was like that level of garbage. So this guy's a weird, delusional, I want to be a rapper, I don't care about football type of person. Don't want anything to do with him. He goes to the NFL, he sucks, and he's like, I want to be a rapper. Okay, great. Great. All right. Had to get that off my chest. We've been doing some hard and difficult work here, grinding through tape and all that stuff, which is a lot of work. And I'm a bit of a ranter, and I get a little, start to get the shakes a little bit when I don't get to yell things into my microphone. So I appreciate you sticking with me. Let's take a break. We'll come back and start looking at some NFL wide receiver prospects, potential first-round prospects. We'll be right back. All right, so to be clear, just if you haven't been, and you need to go back and do it anyways, but I'll explain it again, what we're doing here is looking at any and all potential first-round picks, and I'm being as generous as possible. Most of these are considered lock second-round picks, or possibly later, but whatever. In other words, not first-round picks. But we all understand that there are late risers. Packers usually go after those guys, and they tend to reach. Sometimes it's one or the other or both. Sometimes they're late risers that we think are reaches, but really, like Quay Walker, he actually was just rising really quick at the end. Something to really listen to, by the way, in this last week, because you'll hear somebody say somebody is flying up the boards and is a potential first-round pick. I have a sneaking suspicion that it's the Packers that they found out really like this guy. Like, that's what they heard. Like, why would he be a first-round pick? And then the Packers select Quay Walker. It's like, see, I told you. It's like, yeah, some freaking Packers told you that. All right. One of my favorite, and I have not gone back and watched these guys, so some of my opinions have altered. It's part of the reason I'm scared to do this, because I've been talking some of these guys up so much, and then I don't like them or whatever, vice versa. I'm a little nervous to watch them. But IO Manor, legitimately was one of my favorite wide receivers in the entire class. It's clearly not a consensus. In fact, in the Beast Guide, he's actually number 11, behind not only all these guys, but behind Isaiah Bond, Jack Besh, and Jalen Royals. Those three will not be on this list here. He's listed as a third-round pick on the Beast Draft Guide. We're still going to do it, because I'm using the consensus board, even though technically he's now a third-round pick in the consensus board. I don't care. I want to talk about him, all right? Leave me alone. Man, there is a strong temptation for me to add. I guess I don't have to. Number 7 on here is Jalen Royals. He has him as a second/third-round pick, so I'll just leave it. If he was a solid second, I probably would have done it. And I'll say this. This is also another very, very good group. So, I mentioned, like, with corner and whatnot, it's kind of iffy, the injury issues and the whatever. Then you look at edge. There's a bunch of them. They're all pretty well built, and they're all really young. Almost this entire group is fairly young. Trey Harris is 23 and whatever. He's barely 23, freaking whatever. But, I mean, size, you got speed, you got young guys. I mean, it's a pretty good group. It might be a little iffy in the first round, right? Like, if you see, like, okay, McMillan's maybe gone, and now Burden and Ibuka and the rest of them are kind of second-round picks. So it might be, like, loaded in the second round, like a lot of other positions. But still, it's a phenomenal group kind of across the board. If you want to say you're not going to get him until the second round, whatever. It's still a really good group of wide receivers. If you just remove the what about specifically first round value, I don't know, dude. I don't know who's a good value in the first round. But is it a really good, deep group of receivers? Yes, it is. So, for example, he only has Tedero and McMillan as a first round grade. He has Golden, Burden, and Ibuka as first to second round, so late first, early second. But the only first round grade is Tedero and McMillan. But again, that is a problem across the board with a lot of these positions and players. For example, so the only one that's 23 years old or older is Trey Harris at 23.1 years old. Not crazy. As far as RAS, McMillan, Golden, and Burden don't have RASs. You know who the lowest RAS score is that I have of this group? Trey Harris at a 9.23. That is the lowest RAS score. I mean, these guys, I'm just saying, I wish we had a ton of picks and we could take 3 of these guys, because I would just lose my mind with excitement. I mean, if we could go like edge, receiver, I know we need corner. I want 2 of these guys. I just do. So right off the bat, and I've already done a video of IO Manor against Colorado in 2023, where he, in my opinion, beat the living crap out of one of the more talented corners that we've seen in some time. I'm not going to watch that again because I've already seen that 2 to 3 times. As far as 2024, I got NC State, Notre Dame, and SMU. The obvious one to watch here would be NC State. It was his best game of the season. However, there is Benjamin Morrison for Notre Dame. I don't know, did he play against them? He only played 6 games. He did. All right, that's the one I'm going to watch. All right, so what I was hoping wouldn't happen, happened. First of all, the first run-through, I like to watch just their best games, period. So I'm sure I watched his NC State game last time. 6 targets, 4 receptions, 108 yards, and a touchdown. This time against Notre Dame, it was kind of middle of the pack, but it was a 64 grade, 64 receiving grade. 5 targets, 3 receptions, 16 yards, no touchdowns, 5.3 yards per reception. So from a statistics standpoint, it was one of his worst games of the entire season. I still like IO Manor. I have reservations and questions like pretty much everybody else. What I noticed, first of all, he wasn't usually against Benjamin Morrison. He was against number 29, who's 29? Christian Gray. Christian Gray is not super good as a corner. He had a 61.5 coverage grade, 64 overall. Not great. He dominated Christian Gray. Benjamin Morrison, he only went up against, I think, 4 times. Once was against the run. He's a very good blocker. IO Manor is a very good blocker. Not only did he block Benjamin Morrison, he blocked a bunch of other guys, including an edge rusher. He did a very good job blocking an edge rusher on a run play. Love him as a blocker. I think at 4.44, I think is his speed, right? Yep, 4.44. He runs faster than what I would expect. I mean, 4.44 is fast, but he's got let's say a legitimate, possibly underrated 4.44. I like his movement ability. The issue primarily comes thusly. He tended to play more as a Y than an X. That is, the guy on the other side of the field was on the line of scrimmage. He was off the line of scrimmage, and 29 tended to play further back than Benjamin Morrison did, meaning he had a lot of cushion to work with. He ran unabated. And when you don't get your hands on him, he can cook, and he's sailing past people, he's going around people, he's doing some good stuff. It's easy to fall in love with the guy when nobody touches him. The times I saw him, 3 times against Benjamin Morrison, he is face-to-face. He's on the line of scrimmage as the X. Morrison is right up in his face. He lost all 3. 2 of them badly, and then one of them, you know, he was kind of able to get out there a little bit, but Morrison was just all over. It kind of raised my opinion of Morrison, to be honest. Partially because what I saw in Morrison was he took a really solid receiver and made him look useless. The ability to just take away what you do best. The point, though, is if we're going to bring him in, I'd like him to be an X receiver at, 6'2", 206, whatever. I feel like that would be a good spot for him. Not really a Z. The point is you need to be able to get up on the line and beat guys off the line of scrimmage. And what I saw is when he was contested, he really struggled. These guys, they'd get inside of his chest and they'd ride him all the way down the field. The speed is gone. His elusiveness with his ability to kind of like cut and turn and everything obviously got interrupted because they're very physical with him, and that he couldn't separate. And so he just didn't really have much. There weren't a ton of times that I got to see that in action because, again, he's usually off the line of scrimmage up against a worse corner who tends to play further off. But the few times I did see it, even against 29, like maybe once when he was up in his face, it just didn't look as good. And so again, as I think about it, I like IO Manor when he's at his best. The problem is the NFL is going to be very good at putting really good players that are there and coaches that are there to take away what you do best. What we need are guys that when you zig, we zag. You want to get in my face, I'm going to hurt you. You want to play off, I'm going to hurt you. IO Manor is good in one category, not so much the other. So when you look at it and say, okay, could he be an X? I don't think so. Could he be a Z? Well, yeah. But if we're talking about and I know there's more to being a Z receiver. This is extreme layman's terms. People that know this stuff are rolling their eyes right now. But if we're going to put somebody on the other side to replace Christian Watson, and I like his speed, but he's got like Romeo Dobbs speed. Remember when we drafted Romeo and it was like, no, it's like deceptively fast. It's actually sneaky fast. That's IO Manor. Like, it's deceptively fast, but when you get into the NFL ranks and you're up against comparing to like Christian Watson or even Bo Melton, he doesn't have that speed, or Mecole Hardman. And so I don't know that I want him there. Could he be a big slot? I don't freaking know. Maybe. Yeah, sure. I don't know. Maybe he could be a big slot. And maybe that's where he could thrive, and he would be better than Jayden Reed, who are going to be moving to Z now because, fine, you can play with that idea. Here's my bottom line. I like IO Manor. I would be pretty happy if we drafted him because I like him. The biggest issue is I just don't see necessarily the vision for where we put him and where he thrives and where he helps us. That's sort of my problem, I guess. And again, it's unfortunate because I picked a game that's not the best, and I'm going to try to do that with everybody else, but there's probably going to be some really good games. I mean, the part of the other issue with IO Manor, he doesn't actually have a ton of good games. He had like 3 or 4 good games. One of them was great. The rest are 60s or lower. So, I mean, you can either pick like the outlier freakish game or the rest of his games, which are kind of like, eh. But there you go. Big, solid, pretty fast, 9.71 RAS player. I like him. That's where we're at, though. Next up, so he was at 67 on consensus. Jalen Noel is at 63. Smaller guy, 5'10", 194, but 4.39 speed. He is the second fastest of this group. 1.52 10-yard split is the second fastest of this group. It's actually shocking how fast Matthew Golden is. We'll get to that. He has decent-sized hands, I guess, for his size. He does have the shortest arms. He has the shortest wingspan. He is the second oldest, I think, 22.64 years old. 9.75 RAS is the highest RAS of the group. Oh, shoot, I forgot to do the thing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This might take multiple days. This is taking longer than I thought. IO Manor. Here we go. Real quick. 2-year starter at Stanford. IO Manor was the ex-wide receiver to the boundary and head coach Troy Taylor's tempo-based RPO. I know what I just said, but I'm just telling you that was the distinction. He wasn't up on the line most of the time. He was off the line. He shifted from hockey to football while growing up in Canada. Has yet to play his best football. Not a trash talker, but always looks to impose his will with his blocking. Forced to redshirt during his first year at Stanford after tearing an ACL, MCL, and meniscus in his knee August of 2022. Missed most of his senior year of high school with a torn PCL in September of 2021. Alec IO Manor is officially how you say his name. Thank you for confirming that. Alec IO Manor. Older sister Jill, born and raised in Medicine Hat in southern Alberta. They got some names out there. 85 miles north of Montana. His first name is a blend of names Alec and Eric. His parents split up when he was a toddler, and he grew up exclusively with his mother, Pamela whatever. IO Manor spent much of his childhood on the maternal grandparents' cattle farm in Kincaid, Saskatchewan. He played hockey, age 6, followed by baseball, basketball, soccer, track, and a number of outdoor sports. Still holds multiple Medicine Hat youth track sprinting records. IO Manor was introduced to football by one of his friends before middle school, and the love for the sport started to grow. Kind of speed run through some of this stuff. He drew the eyes of recruiting services and received advice that a move to the United States would help him earn a scholarship and put him on the path to the NFL. His sophomore season, IO Manor enrolled at the Petty School in Hightstown, New Jersey. He ended up breaking his collarbone there. After a coaching change, he transferred to Deerfield Academy in central Massachusetts. The junior year was canceled because of COVID. Be happy when we get to the point where these kids are old enough that they weren't in school during COVID. Returned as a senior, but then got his PCL injury. He was a 3-star recruit, 132nd ranked wide receiver in the 22 recruiting class, number 8 recruit in Massachusetts. Got his first scholarship offer in sophomore year from Dartmouth. IO Manor then added offers from Penn, Princeton, Yale before picking up his first FBS. Notice that these are high academic schools. I always like to hear that. First FBS offer from West Virginia. In spring of his junior year, he took a number of official visits, added offers from Arizona, Iowa, Notre Dame, Ole Miss, Penn State, Tennessee. IO Manor received an invite to the Stanford camp in 2021 and received an offer from former head coach David Shaw. 2 months later, he committed to the Cardinals, was 13th ranked recruit in Shaw's class, named first team All-Academic, elected to skip his final 2 seasons of eligibility to enter the NFL draft. He accepted his invite to the Senior Bowl. All right. Now we move on. So I'm going to be a little unfair here and watch Jalen Noel against Kansas. It is his second best game of the season. But Kansas has good corners, including Kobe Bryant, who is a 2025 draft prospect. He graded out very, very well. I don't know if they're going to see each other a ton because he's primarily a slot. He was in the slot, 90% in that game, so probably not much at all. But still, they have good corners kind of across the board, and so that's what we're going to do. All right, so I'm not going to spend too much time on Jalen Noel. Jalen Noel. I never really knew if it was Noel or Noel. It's Noel. Okay. So my own personal thoughts here. I think he's a decent enough slot guy for a, relatively smaller player. He actually seems pretty well built. He's 5'10", 194, so it's not like he's tiny. He's a little shorter, but he's around 200 pounds. He's about as heavy as the rest of these guys who are sitting around 200-ish. So he's stocky. He's got a pretty built lower body and whatnot, so he's going to have some power and all that stuff. He's got decent enough speed. He's listed at 4.39. I think that seems like a fair enough. It's not like shockingly fast, but he's certainly fast. And there's a couple plays where as long as nobody touches him, he can find his way past people. In fact, there was one big play against Kobe Bryant in this game. I think Kobe Bryant was kind of ticked because it was just a good play at the exact right time. The safety came down and it looked like Bryant was maybe playing zone and kind of carried with him. And then when he turned to run with him, there's no safety help. So he's just trailing and just got cooked. But the main point here is I'm not really in the market to replace our second-round slot guy with a second-round slot guy. If we do it, okay, I guess. But I don't know that I would even necessarily say I'd prefer him over Jayden Reed. I like Jayden Reed. So I've not spent a lot of time talking about Jalen Noel. I'm trying to do the whole can you see the vision thing, and honestly the answer is no, and I think I would just be annoyed because all we're doing is replacing Jayden Reed, and that means probably finding a new role for Reed that I don't want him to have, and I just would not be super happy with it. Maybe I'd learn to be happy with it, but I don't know that I'd do a good job of faking happiness with that one. 3-year starter at Iowa State, Noel was the M receiver in first-year offensive coordinator Taylor Mauser's scheme. He was also used as a satellite player, motioning into the backfield. So again, you got that whole thing going on. After catching passes from Brock Purdy, his production improved each season, blah, blah, blah. He comped him to Christian Kirk, says he kind of reminds him of that. I don't really know if I see. Christian Kirk was super hyped when he came out. Not that he's been great in the pros, but pretending he looks in college like Kirk looked in college, I think is a stretch. He's durable, missed only one game because of food poisoning in his 4-year career. That's a good thing. Again, he's pretty well built. I think he can hold up to a bit of a beating. 2-year team captain, head coach Matt Campbell, from year 1 to this is what the coach said. From year 1 to year 4, he has been one of the most complete football players in the program over that time. Elite competitive excellence. Trained at Exos during his pre-draft prep and was described as valedictorian of the program. So there's a lot to like about him. Again, it's more of a fit thing. Jalen Noel grew up in Kansas City, Kansas, with his mother, Deirdre Cash. Started playing organized sports at a young age, including football in second grade. Wasn't love at first sight, but football gradually became his go-to sport. After 8th grade, he convinced his mother to move to Missouri so he could attend Park Hill High and be part of its football program. His younger brother James also played wide receiver at Park Hill and finished his redshirt freshman season in 2024 at Division II Missouri Western State. His older brother LJ died in August 2019 at age 26. That's terrible. Noel got engaged to his fiancée, Aaliyah Hunter, in October 2024. There's a lot going on here. He enrolled at Park Hill. We already knew that. 4-year varsity letterman at wide receiver. Learning alongside senior wide receiver Ronnie Bell, Michigan/San Francisco 49ers. He made an immediate impact as a freshman. As a sophomore, he earned All-State honors as a returner. Led Park Hill to an 8-3 record in 2019 district championship as a junior. As a senior, he earned All-State and his third consecutive All-Conference honors. In 10 games his final season, he posted 68 for 1,010 touchdowns, adding his first career touchdown pass. Played basketball for 2 years, lettered in track. 3-star recruit, 124th ranked wide receiver in the 21 class, number 13 recruit in Missouri. After his sophomore season, he received Division I offer from FCS South Dakota State in June 2019, followed by his first FBS offer a week later from head coach Matt Campbell of Iowa State. After his junior season, he announced the top 6: Iowa, Iowa State, Kansas State, Minnesota, Nebraska, and Wisconsin. Ultimately, he committed to the Cyclones over the Cornhuskers, was the 4th-ranked recruit in Campbell's 21 class. He earned second-team academic All-Big 12 and graduated with a degree in communications. Wants to open his own steakhouse after his playing days are over. Okay, now he needs to be a Packer, just because then he's going to open a steakhouse somewhere in Wisconsin. Noel accepted his invitation to the Senior Bowl. I like everything about him. I wish we needed a slot receiver. That's all I could say. All right, now we get to move on to my dude. I'm terrified of watching this. I don't want to think less of him. Trey Harris, out of Ole Miss. His statistics, by the way, are just unbelievable. He played in 8 games. Only 8 games. Had 60 receptions for 1,030 yards and 7 touchdowns. The worst game out of this group that I can watch for him, as far as his PFF grade goes, was his 3rd worst game of the season. It was Kentucky. 15 targets, 11 receptions, 176 yards, and a touchdown, 71 PFF grade. Now, I can watch his game against Wake Forest, which was a slightly higher grade, but slightly lesser production. That was 12 targets, 10 receptions, 94 yards, and no touchdowns. Otherwise, I have to go back to 2023 to see if I can just find a bad game, but freaking... I mean, I guess I'll watch the game. Well, who has better corners? It's got to be Kentucky, right? Not necessarily. Both of their teams don't have great... Oh, no, I had it backwards. It is Kentucky. Not by much, but it is Kentucky. Well, I guess we're watching Kentucky, folks. Going to have a hard time disliking the guy when every freaking pass goes to him and he's a dominant freak of nature. Now, I'm pretty sure I did a video on Trey Harris. You can go back and watch it and kind of get what I like about the guy. I might actually switch because I've seen this one before, so I'm going to go watch the Wake Forest one. But, I mean, the fact that, the route tree is limited because it's Ole Miss and they do a lot of the same stuff. But, I mean, they will run plays where he doesn't move. He just stands there, and then they throw him the pass, and he's breaking tackles and getting 10 yards. He's so freaking powerful. Ugh. Not doing it. I'm not watching this one. We're going and watching Wake Forest. First play, he does a double move and just cooks the guy. Good God. Oh. I'm having too much fun. So I finished the Wake game. I have already seen that. I forgot how much of a sicko I am with Trey Harris. The only thing that I'm still completely obsessed. I went back and watched the other game only because I wanted to see more press. He is playing the X spot. Everybody's playing 10 yards off. And so I went back and I watched the other game. Everybody's playing 10 yards off. There were a handful of times where they were pressed up on him. Is he dominant off the line? No. Can he handle it? Absolutely. Not only did I see him use his footwork to get around guys and get past them, but his physicality and strength alone make him hard to just completely shut down. And so now I'm going back to 2023, and there's a game against Texas A&M, and of course, 14 targets, 11 receptions, 213 yards, and a touchdown. So I wonder if I'm going to hate this one. I don't know why he's not more popular. Yeah, tons of press in this game. Had a 91 grade, 11 receptions, 213 yards, and a touchdown. He had no problem. I mean, the footwork off the line, he was untouched a bunch of times in press. I no notes, man. I'm beyond all in on Trey Harris. And I know we're not going to draft him, and somebody else is, and it's probably going to be somebody in the NFC North, and I'm going to frickin' weep like a child. 2-year starter at Ole Miss, Harris was an outside receiver, left and right, in offensive coordinator Charlie Weiss's spread scheme. Out wide 85.4% of his snaps, Louisiana Tech transfer. In the midst of a potentially record-breaking 2024 season with the FBS best 987 yards by the second week in October, which is 181 yards more than the next closest player on the list. But he played in just 16 more snaps the rest of the season because of injury. Started introducing more yoga to his training to help avoid injuries. I appreciate that, although I don't know if it's working. Coaching staff speaks highly of the way he carries himself. Lane Kiffin said, he truly prepares like a 10-year NFL vet. The guy is all about being a great player and doing whatever it takes. It's very refreshing. I needed to hear that, man. That was the only thing missing, and now I got it. Maybe like a 4.4 speed, but that's fine. Posted 10 100-yard receiving games in his 20 games played at Ole Miss. 10 of his 20 games were 100 or more yards, fourth most in school history. I mean, what? Whatever, dude. I don't care. Missed a significant chunk of time in his final season because of a groin injury, October 2024, which sidelined him for 5 games and parts of others. Missed 1 game because of a left knee injury in September 2023, which required a minor procedure. Cleveland Harris, also known as Trey Harris III, the only boy and second youngest of 4 children, grew up in Lafayette, Louisiana, with his parents, Cleveland Jr. and Delana. Cleveland Jr. has worked for almost 30 years in oil fields, which is where Trey developed his blue-collar work ethic. Trey Harris learned how to play basketball and other sports by playing outside with his 3 sisters. Harris started playing football at age 6. He attended Comeau High in Lafayette, where he was teammates with Malik Neighbors. Harris was, quote, like a brother and mentor for Neighbors. That's cool. Harris was expected to be the top receiver on varsity as a sophomore, but when the starting quarterback transferred, the coaches looked to Harris to fill that void and run the team's flex bone option offense. He was also a standout basketball player at that weird high school and started from freshman year on. Going into his junior year, Harris elected to leave the football team to focus on basketball. But after Comeau lost 2 of the first 4 games, Harris returned and quarterbacked the team to the 2018 state playoffs. Harris said he realized how much he loved football because of how much he missed it. Neighbors also pestered him every day to come back. As a senior, Harris earned first-team All-District honors and again led Comeau to a 5A state playoff where it secured the school's first playoff win since 2009. He and Neighbors, a junior at the time, called themselves the best duo in the state and connected 58 times for 1,233 yards and 21 touchdowns. When Harris graduated after the 2019 season, Neighbors transferred to Southside High for his senior year. A 4-year starter and 2-year captain on the basketball team, Harris earned first-team All-District honors as a junior and second-team All-State as senior, averaging 23 points per game in 2019-2020. 3-star recruit, Harris was 176th ranked athlete in the 2020 recruiting class, number 96 recruit in Louisiana. After he decided to focus more on football as a junior, he attended several camps following the season. His coaches believed he could be a dual-threat quarterback in college, but Harris was open to making a position change. Most programs recruited him at wide receiver. He received his first scholarship offer in 2019 from McNeese State, followed by offers from Nicholls State and Northwestern State. A few weeks later, Harris packed up his first FBS offer, Louisiana Tech, followed by offers from Louisiana Monroe and his hometown school, Louisiana. Before his all-district senior season at quarterback, he officially committed to Louisiana Tech as a wide receiver. After 3 years with the program, Harris entered the transfer portal following the 2022 season. He picked up several high-profile offers, including Oklahoma, Penn State, and Texas A&M. However, he was drawn to Lane Kiffin's offense and joined Ole Miss January 2023. Harris took advantage of an extra year of eligibility granted by the NCAA because of the pandemic and returned to Oxford for his 5th season in 2024. He graduated with a degree in general business. He accepted his invite to the East-West Shrine Bowl, wasn't medically cleared until January of 28. So in 2020, he went to Louisiana Tech. It was a pandemic-shortened season. 21, honorable mention All-CUSA. 22, first-team All-CUSA, led the team in receiving. 2023, he went to Ole Miss, led the team in receiving, single-game receiving record with 4 touchdowns, missing 1 game with a left knee injury. 2024, third-team All-SEC, led the team in receiving, missed 5 games due to a groin injury. If I haven't mentioned it yet, I'm all in on Trey Harris. Thank you for your time. Again, I will not be taking questions. And I don't think I've taken a second break yet. I should have done that before Trey Harris, but we will take a break. We'll come back, and we will do our final receiver of the day, and that is Jayden Higgins. I have not been more excited to watch anybody except Jayden Higgins. I haven't watched him since a very long time ago, and there is a massive groundswell of the Packers need to draft Jayden Higgins in the first round. And so I'm hoping that I can 1,000% get behind it. We will see. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. All right, so Jayden Higgins is 6'4", making him actually the tallest of all the receivers. He is 1/8 inch taller than Tet McMillan, who is 6'4", 1/8. He's 6'4", 2/8 or 1/4, whatever. 214 pounds, making him 1 pound heavier than Tet McMillan. 4.47, faster than McMillan. 1.54 10-yard split is the third fastest, I think, 10-yard split. Pretty average hands. Arm length is the longest arms, has the longest wingspan, is 22.3 years old, and has a 9.63 RAS, which is the third best out of 5. Actually, it's the fourth best out of 5. Second worst out of 5. However you want to say it. Either way, everybody has phenomenal RAS. So he beyond checks every box. His So PFF has him, we talked about how there's different metrics, and I think SIS was a little bit different. I think it was SIS as far as his drop numbers and whatnot, but PFF has him as one drop on the season, 1.9% on the season. He has a 2.24%, actually that's the wrong one, 3% drop rate in his career, according to PFF. Again, different metrics and whatnot. His grades are great-ish, and by great-ish, I mean if you look at his overall PFF grade, 85 overall, 87 receiving grade, which is great. He's got a bunch of great games. The problem is it's 50% are great, 50% are eh. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, kind of 7 that are 70 or higher, with 3 being 80 or higher and 1 being in the 90s. But then he's got 64, 60, 60, 57, 57, 57. So about the other half are low 60s, high 50s, for whatever it's worth. I'm just pointing it out. There's a lot of inconsistency there. 3 games I've got here: Arizona State, Kansas, UCF. So I think we did Kansas for Jalen Noel, right? So we might as well do Kansas again. Probably have a better chance of seeing more Kobe Bryant matchup. That was his 4th worst game. 5 targets, 3 receptions, 56 yards, 60 grade, 60 receiving grade. All right, here is my thought on Jayden Higgins. As we've established, he probably has the best metrics of everybody. He is Tet McMillan, but faster with longer arms. He has everything. I mean, Trey Harris plays like he's 6'4", 214 and runs a 4.47. Jayden Higgins is that. He's not blazing fast, but he can move. I think he's a smooth mover. He's more smooth than Trey Harris is, maybe. Not necessarily sharp in the route running and all that. That's kind of a different kind of technicality I think Trey Harris is quite good at. But, like smooth-hipped and whatnot, you can flow. Everything's there. But it hit me what's missing. I don't think Higgins is as good of a football player as Harris is. Just flat out. Look, we've been talking about this for a while as far as, I don't care about the RAS and the speed and this and that. I just get me a good football player. Explain to me this. How do you get... You are now a football player that runs a 4.54, which is what Trey Harris runs, also what McMillan runs, by the way. The defender is 10 yards off. Your job as a not fast receiver is to get behind him. You're going to run a double move and try to get behind him. If you run a 4.35, that's difficult. Because what happens is, and I've seen this in the NFL, you try to run a double move and get behind somebody, but they're 10 yards off and they're backpedaling at the snap. So when you run your double move, they're still about 10 yards away from you. Even if they bite on it, when you start moving north again, there's still a huge cushion. You're not getting behind them. How did Trey Harris do that on the first play? How does he consistently sell routes to get them to bite and to be able to get open? I think there's more to being a receiver than can you run sharp routes, do you run fast, and do you have good hands? Which is probably how I would have generally gauged receivers in the past. I mean, that's your checkbox, right? I mean, the point is, if you have the tools, then you can do it. And I think that's what I'm getting a lot wrong here. Jayden Higgins has all the tools. He couldn't sell a damn route to save his life. He kept trying to get these. I saw him a couple times try to run double moves. Never even came close. Never even came close. How? He's faster than Trey Harris. He should be able to get behind him because you have to sell it. There's so much nuance. It's a frickin' art form, running routes, because running routes you're not doing it against air. Yes, he's going to run prettier routes and faster routes against air. The point is, can you deceive this corner? You need to move him. You need to get him to bite down hard. Can you sell him so that he comes screaming down the field and then time your coming out of your break and your acceleration it's to perfection. If you're running an out route, you're not running it against air. Can you if you run it at the wrong time and they're facing you, as soon as you break out, they crash down. What if you get them right at the right point of their back pedal to where they start to flip their hips? Then when you break at that point, they got to do that weird, awkward loop all the way around. You're wide open. The last play I watched for Jayden Higgins, he's running a curl route. The defender comes down and breaks it up. And you could easily look at that and go, that's just good coverage. Quarterback, this, that, or the other. He didn't sell it. He didn't sell it. He didn't time it. He wasn't able to get the right separation so that by the time the ball got there, the defender was easily right back there and knocked the ball away. Higgins did some good stuff, especially in zone when he's able to find a wide open spot. He can flow. It looks real pretty because he's smooth in his movements. He's fast. He's got great hands, so the catch looks beautiful, and he can just fly around and do all that cool stuff. Can he sell a route, though? Now, the vision for Higgins is the same as all of these upside guys. He has all the tools to be an elite wide receiver, and if we can teach him how to do that, then he could end up being a great receiver. That's the vision. And if that's what you want to do, if you want to take a toolsy guy who's 6'4" and runs a 4.47, not that that's blazing speed, but still, it's all there. If you want to take that and say, if we can teach him to learn the wide receiver position with the level of nuance that a guy like Devontae had, because remember, those are 4-5 guys that knew how to sell routes. And again, going back to Trey Harris, how do 10 games out of 20 does he get 100 yards? How does he beat a guy with a double move with a 10 yards of cushion running a 4.54? Why do they keep giving him so much cushion if he's a slow receiver? How does he consistently get open? How does he get so many yards? It doesn't really make sense, and you can explain it away if you want to. Similar to the way when I watch Bijan Robinson and I see these guys falling off of him, the first couple times you say, that's not impressive, that's just bad tackling. But it happens over and over and over and over again, and you realize, no, there's something to this. And you realize that there's subtleties and nuance, and there's so much to these little things to where, you look at A.J. Dillon and go, well, Dillon would be better than Bijan because he's even bigger, and he's got the speed, and he's got all these things, except he's not, because there's nuance to it. There's leverage, there's angles, there's timing. You look at Josh Jacobson in that the breakdown that was done when he breaks down in front of the defender within inches, and he's able to jump out of the way. If he doesn't do it that way, if he doesn't run up like within inches of that guy's face before he breaks to the outside, in other words, if he sees the hole and immediately goes there, that defender's going to meet him at the hole. If he breaks down within an inch of his face and then jumps out there, there's no defender in that hole. This is the whole Frank Gore thing. How is Frank Gore such a good running back when he's so old and so slow? Because it's a mental thing. So yeah, Matthew Golden runs a 4.29. Jayden Higgins is 6'4", 4.47. He's got all the attributes. IO Manor 6'2" and 4.44. Right? Burden is like, he's a built dude. He's 206. He's heavy. He's not, he's only 6 foot, but he's heavy. He's a thick dude. He runs a 4.41. There's a lot there. A lot of these toolsy guys, and they got it. But at some point, we got to find a guy that just knows how to play the position, that knows how to manipulate defenders to get them to do what I want so that they're not by me anymore. Rather than just saying, well, he runs a 4.29, so he's just going to be able to run past everybody. Except when you watch that never happens. How do you get open? You just be faster than everyone. That's literally not how anybody gets open, with the very rare exception of a couple people that are that way. And it's not even every time. It's in certain situations on certain times. It has its benefits, but that's not the entirety of how you get open. You're fast. I mean, even the fact that he's big. He is nowhere near as physical as Trey Harris. Not even close. Not even close. Trey Harris is a bulldozer that runs through people. Jayden Higgins is big, but he just goes down. IO Manor is a better blocker than both Trey Harris and Higgins, I think. Higgins has 10 pounds on IO Manor. He's not as good of a blocker. So you can have all the tools. You can be 214 pounds. And you can have all that stuff, but that doesn't mean you're as good at it because there's actual technique that goes into this. So I don't mean it for it to be entirely negative. I like Jayden Higgins. Would I be mad if we took him in the first round? Not necessarily, because I can see the vision. Would I be mad if we took him in the second? I doubt that's going to happen. I doubt he gets there, although he's sitting at 47. We'll see how it goes. But that is my overall assessment of it. I didn't see Jayden Higgins throw off a corner once. Every time he tried to get fancy and do something, it looked like the corners are sitting there going, what are you doing, dude? It was easy. He's doing a little like shuffle, and then quick slant route. And I think it was Kobe Bryant. I don't know, but he was just kind of running with him like, what is this? This is stupid. Okay, I'll jog along with you here. That was nice. That was cute. That was a cute little thing you tried to do there that I saw coming from a mile away. I don't think he understands the nuance. And again, if you teach him, can he be great? He can be great. But if you expect him to come in day one and dominate, I don't know that happens. Maybe with Matt LaFleur, he can scheme him open. Sure, fine. But you can do that with pretty much anybody. If the whole point is Matt LaFleur is going to use scheme to make sure nobody touches him and he goes to a wide open space, Yeah, as long as he currently has a pair of hands, you can make pretty much anyone thrive in that environment. But that's not what I'm asking, especially not for a potential first-round pick. So that's how I see Higgins. He has as much or more upside than just about anybody here. He seems to have solid hands. He's got plenty of speed, movement, all that stuff. I don't think he's a good receiver. Not yet. He has to learn to do that, and he just doesn't have that right now. All right, let's do his beast guide, and then we'll get up out of here. So he is currently listed at number 6. He's actually behind Jalen Noel, but otherwise is in line with the consensus big board. 2-year starter at Iowa State, Higgins was the ex-receiver, out wide 72.4% of his snaps in first-year offensive coordinator Taylor Mauser's scheme. Basketball-focused athlete much of his life, Higgins received production, whatever. I don't care about that part. Higgins is an ascending height, weight, speed athlete. I agree with that. His game is similar to what Nico Collins put on tape at Michigan. And again, you see that and you go, yeah, he's got Nico Collins up. Yeah, he does. He does. And if we don't draft him and he becomes Nico Collins, am I going to feel stupid? I mean, not really, because that's the vision. That's the upside. That's why if he goes in the first round, I'm not going to be mad. I'm just going to be skeptical. But it's there. Played in 26 straight games at Iowa State. Didn't miss any games because of injury. That's huge. Number 3 all-time in Iowa State history with 8 100-yard receiving games. So that's up there. That's 8 out of 25, but that's still obviously very impressive. He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them coming this past year in 2024. Grades, by the way, are phenomenal. 90 PFF grade. You know what? I said it was inconsistent. I was looking at 2023. 90 PFF grade, 91 receiving grade. He actually was about 70 or higher in all but 3 games. Is a 69.4, but I'll give him that one. 65, 64, and about a 60 against UCF. So I retract my statement before. I was still on 2023. Significantly better grades in 2024. All right. Set Iowa State's school record with a touchdown catch in 7 straight games. He only had 4 without a touchdown. Didn't have any with 2, but still pretty impressive. Jayden Higgins, who has 2 sisters, Jade and Angelina, was born in Cobb County, Georgia, with his parents Moses and Holly Poole before the family relocated to South Miami and moved into his father's childhood home when Jayden was 3 years old. Higgins started playing football when he was little for South Miami Grey Ghosts and originally was an offensive lineman and defensive lineman before moving to wide receiver. Started playing traveling basketball on a national level in 3rd grade and led his team to Gulliver Middle School to a South Florida championship, averaging 15 points per game. As a 7th grader, he was the starting point guard in high school JV basketball team at Slam Academy, and by 8th grade was considered one of the top young point guards at South Florida. Originally attended Gulliver Prep Upper School, a private high school in Pinecrest, Florida, for 2 years. Played on the JV team as a freshman, didn't play as a sophomore to focus on basketball, and because he didn't have a great experience, quote-unquote, playing football at Gulliver Prep. Before his junior year, Higgins transferred to Westminster Christian School, a private prep school in Palmetto Bay, for his final 2 years of high school. While still focused on basketball, he decided the fresh start would be a good opportunity to play football again. Higgins earned all-county honors as a junior with 27 catches for 490 yards and 4 touchdowns, helping the team to 6 wins and 2019 playoff spot. Senior season cut short because of COVID. Higgins finished with a bunch of stats here. He averaged 15 points and 6 rebounds for the basketball team also. Higgins also joined the track team as a senior and qualified for states in the high jump with a personal best 6'5". 2-star recruit, Higgins was the 459th ranked wide receiver in the 2021 recruiting class, probably because he really didn't play a ton of football. The number 376th recruit in Florida. After focusing primarily on basketball early in high school, he was late to the football recruiting scene. The pandemic and the fact that Higgins played at a small school also were factors in the under-recruitment. Higgins was hoping to play basketball at the college level until he received his first football scholarship offer May 2020, FCS Long Island. Between the end of his senior season and signing day, he added offers from Austin Peay, Eastern Kentucky, Houston Baptist, and Stetson, all in December of 2020. He officially committed to Eastern Kentucky because it was the best fit, according to him. Only received FCS offers and never heard from any FBS programs. After his breakout sophomore season at Eastern Kentucky, Higgins entered the portal in December 2022. Sorry, my brain's getting a little warped here. With his eyes on jumping to the FBS, he received offers from Minnesota, Mississippi State, Northwestern, Pittsburgh, Troy, Tulane, and Virginia, but he felt his best opportunity was at Iowa State because of the family atmosphere. Higgins earned Big 12 Commissioner's Hall Honor Roll honors. He opted out of Iowa State's 2024 bowl game and accepted his invitation to the Senior Bowl. 2022, he was first-team All-ASUN at Eastern Kentucky. 2023, he transfers to Iowa State, was honorable mention All-Big 12. 2024, he was third-team All-American, second-team All-Big 12, led team in catches and receiving touchdown. Just want to reiterate, well, let's do this. Jalen Noel is kind of just a no-go for me because he's a slot, and I don't, for me, that's not where we're at. I would probably say IO Manor would be next. I wish I still thought he was top dog, but again, I struggle a little bit with the vision. I like him. I do like him. Higgins would be next because he has incredible upside. He's a big dude, good hands. I mean, you can easily see the vision. Again, Nico Collins is your North Star of where you're seeing. And again, I say it's going to take time and all that stuff. It doesn't have to. I said the same thing about Christian Watson. Like, well, he has potential, but it's going to take time because he went to a small school. Nope. First frickin' play of the game, he sails past somebody, he dropped the ball. But still, it's like, okay, never mind. He doesn't need time. He's just frickin', he's okay. I'm just saying the way I'm seeing it right now, that's kind of how I'm seeing it. And then Trey Harris is still my top guy. I understand there are limitations supposedly with speed, although I never saw that, and he consistently got behind guys because I think he's a very nuanced and talented route runner. Also, Tet McMillan is, the same speed and actually has a slightly slower 10-yard split, like identical arm length, identical wingspan, and I think Trey Harris is the most physical, like hardest to bring down receiver of the group. I think, he may not have the upside of Higgins, but I also think, depending on how good and how easily he can absorb, this is true of everybody, how easily he can absorb the playbook and everything and how he gets used on the team, I think he's ready day one because he understands that stuff already. Not that I can say that I'm watching it and I'm seeing what he did. What I'm saying is I'm watching him run routes and I'm seeing corners just that he makes them look stupid. And again, for Higgins, it's more like the corners make him look stupid. And Higgins makes the receiving position look hard. Like, I don't know what he was supposed to do there. Trey Harris runs routes, and it's like, I don't know why the corner doesn't know how to cover him. Like, I don't know. Why was that so hard for you? So that's where I'm at right now. Harris, Higgins, IO Manor, and then Noel. Tomorrow we will be doing Luther Burden, Emeka Egbuka, Matthew Golden, and the prize of many people's eye, the potential for the Packers to either land or trade up for Tet McMillan. These are, by the way, the much more likely first-round pick options for the Green Bay Packers. But we'll do that tomorrow. You guys have a good one. I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.